Good morning. Welcome to Sabbath School. We're going to start our song service this morning with hymn number 633. And while you're singing this song, would like you to be looking through the hymnal and think about your favorite song, your favorite hymn, because we will go ahead and take requests for the rest of our Sabbath School hymn sing this morning.
And by the way, I'm Deb, and this is Amy. She's my sister. She's not in the bulletin, but she's helping this morning.
So 633, first and last verses, when we all get to heaven.
It's ringing.
So if you have a favorite this morning, raise your hand and we'll write it down. 86? Okay. Anybody else? We need about 4 or 5.
Okay, we'll start with number 86 and just be thinking of your favorite song, and we'll do it next. Number 216.
So if you just came in, we're taking requests. So if you have a favorite, just holler it out at the end of the other song and we'll sing it.
Number 518.
And we're doing first and last verses. Standing on the promises of Christ my King, through eternal ages let His praises sing. Glory, hallelujah, I will shout and sing. Standing on the promises of God. Standing, standing on the promises of God, my Savior. Standing, I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ our Lord. Once in Him eternally was lost and poured. Overcoming daily with the Spirit's sword. Standing on the promises of God. Standing, standing on the promises of God, my Savior. Standing, I'm standing on the promises of God. 5:30. All right.
2 pages over, number 530. First and last verses.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, 478. And this will be our opening song for Sabbath School. So maybe we should stand for 478. First and last verses.
Please stand, thank you.
Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Todd Essex, and we wanted to share a mission experience with you this morning. There's two reasons why we wanted to share this experience with you. One, as Christians, mission is very important to us. And two, the Battle Creek Tabernacle community played a very important role in this mission trip. So to start this off, we want to show a video, but here's the setting. So my children go to one of our Adventist schools in Denver, Colorado called Mile High Academy. And earlier this year, the middle school at Mile High Academy went on a mission trip to Uganda, Kiryandongo refugee camp. We'll tell you a little more about that, but that's the setting. Watch this video, and then we've got some pictures to share with you.
So we're in Uganda at the Kiryandongo refugee camp with 175,000 refugees. And we are here because the kids felt that serving in Denver was just not enough. As soon as they met Kim Yusel through Skype, they got it on their hearts they were going to come and serve the least of these and be the hands and feet of Jesus.
Well, I think for the kids coming from the States, to see abject poverty, to see people in mud huts with mud floors, minimal clothing, horrible sanitation, eye-opener to how a great majority of the people in the world live.
And so we are here putting on a VBS program for the kids, doing a sports ministry camp for the teens, building a basketball court. We're doing a medical clinic for optometry and then for all the other ailments, taking blood pressure and diabetes checks. And eventually this project, we hope to build a 3-room schoolhouse.
You see the smiles on the children's faces, and even though the obstacles are different every day, it's like a different problem to solve every day in order to continue having the VBS here, because we have so many children and it's very difficult to turn away any one child. The students from Mile High Academy are establishing relationships with the children here. They're learning why they are here, why they had to flee from South Sudan to be here. There's just so much that I can learn from being here. I've seen an amazing teacher in a classroom full of 112 children. And I think to myself, how does she manage this? How do they manage a classroom with so many?
You should treasure everything you have, no matter how small, no matter how big. That you should always be healthy and take care of yourself, because there's a lot of people who can't, and they wish they could.
It was just really humble. And I know that's a generic response, but it is really humble.
I think I learned a lot because I think I learned how to show Jesus a lot better.
Like when I went home, I took a bath. That's the first thing I did. And it was just so awesome to have hot water.
Well, the best thing for me for the trip was building a relationship with all the kids and just having a good time with them and seeing their smiles every day. And yeah, that was the best part.
I got to see where my mom came from. I got to experience what my mom experienced. 'Cause she was a refugee for a bit.
Don't tell yourself that you're poor because you're not. You're healthy, you've got a family, you've got all these things. And just in Uganda, they're so happy with just very little.
Sometimes it was hard, but at the end of the day, you realize after the last day, once the kids are saying goodbyes, that it was all worth it.
We've been having the time of our lives. Chris, Jay, Jared, and I came up, and they dreamed up that idea. Hey, let's build these guys a basketball court.
I think it has inspired me to do more mission trips. This mission trip has been, I can't describe it to anybody who hasn't been into a mission trip.
Now that I've seen that, I want to go back and I want to help more.
I really want to go back.
I want to go back.
I really want to go back because I just want to see the kids so bad. That was such a good experience. I just really want to go back.
All right, didn't even have to call Braden forward. So to give you a little more perspective, earlier this year, my wife, Michelle, who's an optometrist, and Braden, we're going to learn a little bit more about here in just a second, went with a group of about 35 people to Uganda for this mission trip. So, son, why don't you tell the people your name?
My name is Braden Essex.
And why don't you just share with them what grade you are?
I am in 8th grade.
And what are some of your interests?
Basketball and hanging out with my family.
Okay. So before we go through some specific pictures here, what were some of the main elements of the mission trip that the kids participated in?
So what we did for the mission trip was we built basketball courts, and we brought 50 soccer balls, 50 basketballs, and 50 footballs to give out to the kids. And we did also VBS, Vacation Bible School, and had crafts and Bible stories, and we prayed with them. And yeah, that's what we did.
Okay. So there's a class that the middle schoolers are a part of at Mile High Academy that's called Refugeesus. And they're focused on refugees, like one of the teachers was talking about. And they've done a lot of projects in the Denver area with refugees. And that's what spurred this idea of this mission trip on. This refugee camp is the second largest refugee camp in the world. There's 175,000 refugees from Sudan there. And so that's what I call taking it up a notch when serving refugees. So Braden, tell us a little bit about this picture here.
So the one on the left, his name's Philip, and he's 5 years old, and the one on the right, his name's Willie, and he's 3. And these kids, they have nowhere to go. They're just there all day. And the second day, I made connections with them, and we hung out for the rest of the week.
Here's another picture of a group of children. The children followed the American children everywhere. What's the story of some of these children, Braden?
Well, so this is Saturday, the first day we got there, and we went to church there, and we preached and told Bible stories. And these are just 4 kids that I met the first day. There's Philip again, all the way on the right. And it was just incredible how they worshiped God on the Sabbath. It was cool.
Tell us about this young man.
So this young man, his name is Gmo. He's 8 years old, and he had a really sad story. So he has 8 siblings, but his mom and dad are both back in the Sudan war, and he doesn't know if they're still alive or not. And he's living with his auntie in this refugee camp. So this is Willie again, and he didn't go to school because he's 3, so we just hung out the whole day.
Tell us about this little boy.
So this little boy, he has a really sad story. So his grandpa is the pastor of 9 churches there.
The Seventh-day Adventist pastor.
Yes, and on his way to this refugee camp from Sudan, his mom got murdered, and his dad brought him to this camp and went back to go fight. So he's living with his grandpa in this refugee camp.
And the last picture here, Braden, tell us more about the young man in the middle.
The young man in the middle, his name's Joseph. So me and Joseph, we played sports together the whole week, and at the end of the week, he gave me this necklace and said that, "I want you to remember me, never forget me. I'm so glad you came." And that was so touching because I didn't realize how much big of an impact we made till that end when he was crying and so sad that we were going to leave, and he gave me a necklace saying that to never forget him.
And what did you give him so that he would remember you?
I gave him my backpack, and he's never had a backpack before, so he loved it.
All right, this is a picture of my wife, Michelle, and as I mentioned earlier, she's an optometrist. This is where the Battle Creek Tabernacle community played a huge role. This church, with the help of my mom and others, donated over 200 glasses to this mission trip. Michelle saw about 40 patients a day. She saw as many as she could, and she was actually able to hand out, including reading glasses and things, over 300 glasses for the people there. Again, 176,000 people, but she was able to help 300 in the 5 days that she was there and help them see better. This is just an example of the room that they would do eye exams. Obviously, no equipment. They had to use handheld lenses. Another lady that she was serving. here's a collage of pictures of people that were helped. People over and over came in to see Michelle, and she had to have a translator. They speak Swahili, Sudanese, and Arabic. But over and over, they just kept mentioning, I want to see better so I can read the Bible. That was a theme she heard over and over. Before the trip, Michelle did some pre-work where there's a machine you can put the glasses in to determine the prescription, and there was a pair of glasses that had a radical prescription in one eye and a radical prescription in the other eye, and she's like, there's no way I'm going to find anybody over there that can use these glasses. And the very first patient she saw matched up with those glasses perfectly. The final story I wanted to tell, how many people know or knew John Thurber? What's that? Right, when he was younger, he was part of the King's Herald. Sadly, he passed away shortly before this mission trip, and John's wife found out about this mission trip through my parents. And when my parents were telling her about the trip, she was insistent about donating John's glasses for this project. And this lady here is the recipient of those glasses, and Patsy Thurber was just ecstatic to think that someone in Africa is going to see Jesus like John did through his glasses. So there was a little bit of fun on this trip. They worked hard, but the last day or so, Braden, tell us some of the fun things you did.
So like on our way back to the airport, we stopped and did a couple things. Like the first picture is at the Nile River, and there's a rainbow there. It was in a ravine, but like we went to some parts where the Nile River was like really far apart, but this was like close. And then in the middle, we went on a safari, and we saw giraffe and elephants and water buffalo. It was really cool. Then the last picture, I was like kind of scared at first, because if you see in the background, there's rhinos, and we weren't in any cars. We were just standing out in the open, because like the warning thing said, if a rhino charges you, get behind a tree. So I was kind of scared, but it all worked out, and we got to see rhinos out in the open.
Awesome. So in summary, this church played a significant role in this mission trip. Again, the largest contributor to donated glasses, and we felt it was important to incorporate this into the message today, to thank you for your generosity. My wife thanks you. It was a life-changing experience, and lives were impacted in a positive way.
So it's now time for the offering. So today's offering is for missions, and specifically one of the local missions, Battle Creek Academy. So bow your heads for prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you that it's Sabbath and we get to come to church and worship you. Thank you that I got to go on this mission trip and have a blessing. And please bless this offering today. And just thank you that I get to be in here in Michigan. Amen.
Amen. All right. Okay. Okay. In Uganda, Africa, yes. Okay. Good point. All right, so I think we're ready for the offering. So I know you guys aren't Mullins anymore, but thank you to the Mullen family for all your help with the music this morning. I will know you as Mullen's sisters, sorry. So for those of you that just came in, again, my name is Todd Essex, and I grew up here in Battle Creek. I am the son of people that I consider kind of legends here in Battle Creek because they've lived here all their life, Phil and Phyllis. But I graduated from Battle Creek Academy, and I was fortunate enough to be the senior class president. At that time, I didn't realize that that was a lifelong commitment, and have been told that our class is responsible for the church service at our 50 year, so already starting to work on that talk. But I live in Denver, Colorado now, and this is a picture of my family just so you can kind of put a face with the name. When I inquired what people at the Battle Creek Tabernacle would like for Sabbath school, the resounding theme I got was just recapping the week's Sabbath school lessons in the quarterly. And so I'm going to give you my perspective on that. We'll do a wrap-up today. This is just my perspective. It doesn't mean I'm an expert on the subject of loneliness. But again, some of this is just good, friendly reminders for us to remember how to help people that are experiencing loneliness. You know, we as humans we as human beings were not meant to be alone. We were created to share life with someone. And this text stood out to me in the lesson this week. And the Lord God said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him." Genesis 2:18. So I wanted to focus on three elements of this week's lesson. Wanted to talk about companionship, when a marriage ends, death and loneliness, and how we as individuals can help ourselves if we're experiencing loneliness in those areas, or help others that we come across that are experiencing loneliness. If we have time at the end, we might have some time for participation, so be thinking about this if we have some time. If you can think of a time when you went through severe loneliness, what helped you, what hurt you, and what did you learn that could potentially help others? So be thinking about that as we go through the lesson. Okay, companionship. This text stood out to me. Two are better than one because they have a good reward of their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm, but how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. You know, it's hard to identify sometimes when someone is going through a valley of loneliness. Someone is feeling lonely, alienated, rejected, or who is just plain hurting and in need of someone to talk to. How can we as a church group seek to be more sensitive to whomever these people might be? With my personality, I'm kind of an extrovert, and companionship is something very important to me and something I try to make intentional in my life, and so I put some thought into this. And it doesn't mean not everybody's wired like me or an extrovert. You all have your own ways that you can contribute in this area and help someone through a season of loneliness. Even if you're introverted, there's a lot of different ways to reach out to someone and offer them companionship. One thing to kind of look out for, if you or others you come in contact with are constantly tired, make a bigger deal out of things than they need to be, spend a lot of time on social media, sudden weight gain, or seem to always kind of be sick, keep a lookout for that. That individual may be going through a season of loneliness. How can we help people going through this? Again, this is not rocket science. This is just friendly reminders. These are takeaways that I took from the lesson. But sometimes it's good to be reminded, how do we serve people going through this? Make yourself available, okay? I know that's not always easy depending on your personality, but push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, make yourself available, constantly check in with the individual, show them that you care, and be dependable. That's the thing I have to work on the most. I'm really good at making that first 1, 2, 3 connects, but I need to remind myself to follow up with that person that may need a little extra help, months down the road. Again, this is just one way that my family tries to facilitate companionship. People are lonely, and not everybody is comfortable putting themselves out there. Shortly after Braden and I get home, there's an annual event that we do every year at our home. And it's as the boys have filtered through middle school, we do a middle school Vespers at our house, where the kids get out at a half day of school. They come over, we do basketball and volleyball tournaments. Parents filter in throughout the day. We feed them haystacks, and then we have a great Vespers around the fire. I realize that won't work for everybody. That's not comfortable for everybody to facilitate something like that, but this is just one example, one way that our family tries to bring the community together. A lot of the years we invite the 5th grade families to come that'll be moving into middle school so they're comfortable with the teachers so they can meet the other families, and just networking taking place so that people feel part of something and feel companionship. All right, the second topic of the lesson I wanted to touch on today relates to when a marriage ends. Unfortunately, being a middle-aged man myself, a lot of my friends are going through this right now. And so this is something that we've all had to deal with, and this text stood out. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So again, you got to feel your way through these situations and what people are comfortable with. But as a church family and people that we've developed relationships with within our church body, when a couple's marriage is in danger of breaking down, every effort should be made by the partners and those in the church or family who minister to them to bring about their reconciliation in harmony with divine principles for restoring wounded relationships. That was a key phrase that I took from the lesson. And again, that's something you got to feel our way through, but it is our responsibility to assist in those situations. And if we have anybody in here thinking about getting married, remember there's engagement. There's programs for couples who are engaged. I remember doing that with Stan and Angie Hart in Lincoln, Nebraska. People going through a valley in their relationship. There are programs that can help married couples, and there are programs out there for couples that are going through a recent divorce to help them through that. A lot of research that I saw when preparing for this lesson is Sundays are the hardest time for people going through a season of loneliness. They've got work Monday through Friday, they're in connection with people, they come to church on Sabbath, and then they're alone on Sunday. So just something to remember there. Couple takeaways on what are practical and non-judgmental ways we can help someone going through a divorce. Don't be judging. Include them socially. Be a good listener and just provide ongoing support. An example in my own life, this is a picture on top of Vail Pass in Colorado. And I had a really close friend that was going through a divorce. And 2 different times, actually, he took the initiative to reach out to me and another buddy and said, we need to go for a ride. I needed someone to talk to. And so 2 separate weekends, we sat on the top of Vail Pass and talked about what he was going through in his life. And it wasn't easy. There's awkward moments. There's tears shed. But tried to be there and help this individual through this time in his life. Last topic today that we wanted to touch on from the lesson is death and loneliness. Unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of death lately. Whether here in Michigan or in Colorado, I could cite several instances. And the problem is that we are so used to death that we just sometimes take it for granted, which is unfortunate because it was never supposed to be something that we as humans experienced. How can we as a church help those who are suffering loneliness from a death or a loved one? Again, a lot of these same traits. Reach out, be a good listener, be prepared for those awkward and tough conversations, like I mentioned before. Sooner or later, many of us will face a time and season of loneliness brought about by the death of someone we care about. That's sobering, isn't it? The longer we live, it's inevitable. And it's hard. It's hard. As humans, it's hard for us to comprehend. But this is the one text that stood out to me that helps us through times like that. And it's in 1 Thessalonians. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with him in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And thus we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore comfort one another with these words. And this picture stood out to me. This is what helps me get through seasons of sadness and loneliness due to death. And I just envision the time that we will all join Jesus again in the clouds. My wife, actually, when she was 7 years old, lost a sister in a car accident who was 9. I, for one, cannot wait to just take a step to the side and watch my wife and her family reunite with Melinda again. And I think many of us have examples like that. So in summary, 2 points. How crucial that we as a church be ready to reach out to those who might be sitting right next to us in Sabbath every week, who are going through a terrible season of loneliness. So my challenge to you today is let's try to be even more aware of people that are going through a season of loneliness. It's all around us. Let's be more aware of it and try to assist when we can, because we never know when we'll be in that situation. And the second point that I want to make today, at the same time, if you are going through such a time, seek out someone who you feel that you can trust and let them know. So if you're having in a season of loneliness, show that initiative, let someone know you need help, just like my buddy did when he says, hey, we need to go for a ride. It's a little bit on you as the individual as well. All right, I think we're out of time here, so we will not have time to go to the audience. But again, thank you for your time today. It's awesome to be here with everybody for Alumni Weekend and connect with old friends. And that's what part of alumni is the companionship some of us have had for 30, 40, and 50 years. And it's nice to see you here and being part of kind of what we talked about today. Let's bow our heads. Father in heaven, thank you for your Sabbath. Thank you for a great school like Battle Creek Academy that has traditions like Alumni Weekend and the companionship that offers people. At different parts in our lives, we all will be part of a season of loneliness, and it's not fun to be in those valleys. Please be with those people that are in a season of loneliness right now. Help them to seek support and help us as a church family to recognize people that need a little extra boost. Thank you for the opportunity to serve in this way, and we look forward to your coming again. For Jesus' sake, amen. One last comment. If anybody here, this is just my personality, I'm sorry. If anybody here is going through a tough time or loneliness, please see me afterwards. I'd love to pray with you and talk to you about it. And although I don't live here, we'll make sure that we get you in touch with the right individuals in this community so that you feel you have some support. Just wanted to offer that up. Thank you and have a great Sabbath.